election season has started in India and Delhi or not, but for sure it has started in London and New York.
So the External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, they're setting the record straight, hitting out at the criticism that has been coming in from Rahul Gandhi, the Congress and the opposition. So let's take you through the big 5 takeaways of what we heard from the External Affairs Minister. Speaking on Rahul Gandhi, he's hit out at Rahul Gandhi saying that Rahul doesn't know foreign policy. This, of course, in response to the criticism that we've heard from Rahul Gandhi that this is a minister that doesn't understand foreign policy matters. So you have the External Affairs Minister there responding, saying that in fact it is Rahul Gandhi who doesn't understand foreign policy matters. As far as the situation on the line of actual control is concerned, the Foreign Affairs Minister has minced no words. He is saying, go back to what happened under the UPA. Today you have the Prime Minister who sent the army to the line of actual control and not Rahul Gandhi. Here, once again speaking as far as the situation at the line of actual control is concerned, the External Affairs Minister has once again gone on to say that today if you look at the deployment that is at the LOC, it's actually the largest as far as the peacetime deployment is concerned, and compare those numbers to what we saw during the UPA. Once again, hitting out at the opposition, the External Affairs Minister has said that all these narratives that are being peddled, the timing is questionable because today the opposition is deliberately just trying to misrepresent the facts as well as situation. The External Affairs Minister, speaking for the second time, has also hit out on individuals like George Soros, and he's gone on to say that the timing of when these comments are being made is in fact not accidental. Going a step forward, you also have the External Affairs Minister saying that possibly it's election season that has already begun in London and the United States, and that is why you're seeing comments like these. Before we bring in our guests, let's first bring in our colleague Siddhant, who in fact has been tracking all these developments for us. Siddhant, the External Affairs Minister minced no words there. He's hit out at the opposition. He's spoken on the China issue. He's spoken about individuals like George Soros. In fact, not the first time. What is very interesting is one statement. He said this is war by other means. The timing of when all of this is happening is very questionable.
Well, look, he has. This is perhaps one very candid interview of External Affairs Minister. He has also spoken about his innings as a politician, and then again he spoke about how words perception has changed for India in Narendra Modi's regime. So he has touched upon many issues, many key domestic issues, and in fact he is a diplomat who believes in calling out names. He's a diplomat who believes in taking names, and in this interview he has taken Rahul Gandhi's name, and by taking his name he has replied to all those doubts which Congress party has been raising from day one. And in fact he also went on to say say that when they say that China is building bridges in Indian territory, then when those territories were taken away by China, they should also tell people that. So it's a very clear reply to Rahul Gandhi. A. B. He said that it is Narendra Modi who has sent forces to LAC. If we had been accommodative, we wouldn't have sent forces to LAC. And again, he said this by naming Rahul Gandhi. It's not Rahul Gandhi who has sent the forces to LAC. So clearly, a diplomat, new politician. But, he has spoken, he has touched upon his political innings also, and he has also spoken about that how word is now, it is a global issue that what is going to be in India's opinion on any international issue. So he also highlighted that, and he also said that in last so many years, if one thing which is going to be a landmark in Indian diplomacy, then that is vaccine Maitri. So he has touched upon various issues, and it is one of the most candid interviews given by Mr. Jaishankar in recent times, where he has also given reply to his political opponents here in India. At the same time, he has also given reply to those who run narrative against the government, to malign the image of the government.
Siddhant, as far as this narrative, peddling of narrative is concerned, this is not the first time that we're hearing from the center, where they feel that the timing of when this narrative is being pushed across the country or peddled is problematic. Just a few days ago, we heard from the Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar also, who said we need to be very beware of this narrative and we need to find a counter mechanism as well. So when the External Affairs Minister also comes out and puts the timing of all of this out, is the opposition already reacting?
Well, look, he, as I mentioned in my last bulletin also, that he is a diplomat who believes in calling spade a spade. Usually in diplomatic word, diplomats refrain from calling spade a spade. And exactly, he has done exactly the same in the interview which he has given to ANI today. So he has taken names of all those people sitting in London and New York and running anti-India agenda. And he also has questioned the timing of a documentary, BBC documentary, then a statement that has come from George Soros, and how in India political party immediately jumps to these documentaries and these statements to take political mileage. So he has correlated everything, and he has spoken about all these things in an interview given to ANI.
Yeah, Siddhant, we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Let's also now bring in our guests. We have the BJP National Spokesperson, Charu Pragya. We also have retired Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, Congress spokesperson. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Anuma Acharya, I'd like to begin the conversation with you. The External Affairs Minister, as we said, hasn't minced any words. He's spoken on a whole host of issues, whether it's responding to the criticism that is coming from Rahul Gandhi, the opposition, putting the facts as far as the situation at the line of actual control is concerned, and also talking about a larger problem, which is a Western narrative that is being pushed across the country. So let's take it one by one. Let's first begin as far as the opposition's criticism on China has been concerned. The Congress has said time and again that we're not sure as far as the foreign policy of this country. There is aggression that's happening at the line of actual control. The Foreign Affairs Minister today has said, forget optics, forget what the opposition is saying. Let's talk in numbers. As far as the deployment at the line of actual control is concerned, that's one of the highest that we've seen ever. So what is the opposition really talking about?
Riddhima, good afternoon. Most of the time, Mr. Jaishankar speaks like a brigand. Who speaks like this when they are in the helm of affairs? There's something that is called grace or gravity. This is always missing whenever Mr. Jaishankar speaks about important affairs. He doesn't talk like a diplomat. He speaks like an arrogant party man who brags about his leader all the time. Now, who is the Prime Minister of India? Prime Minister of India is Mr. Narendra Modi. It is not Rahul Gandhi. So what kind of remarks he is making? In place of establishing a dialogue with his counterpart in China, he is very conveniently watched off this too military.
No. I think you're mixing two issues. What the government decides to do as far as a dialogue or a conversation for de-escalation or the further processes are concerned, that's a separate conversation. Today, you just had the External Affairs Minister responding to the criticism that the Congress has been saying that, look, there is aggression happening at the line of actual control, there is a build-up happening, we can see hamlets in the satellite images. Specifically responding to that, the External Affairs Minister has said, okay, let's talk about numbers. As far as peace deployment is concerned, we have the largest deployment today at the line of actual control. If there is a specific that the opposition feels is missing, then let's talk about that.
I am talking about something which you interrupted unnecessarily without even understanding what I was to say. If you have to interrupt like this, then why you call us? Why you have us in your program? What I am telling you very specifically, Mr. S. Jaishankar met his Chinese counterpart only in September 2020. After that, he met only in the sidelines of G20 in July 2022. Why he is not capable of establishing a dialogue? Why our territory, we cannot patrol over there? Why it is happening? Why our territory is called a buffer zone? This is all incompetence and whatever I should say. He is not fit to be a proper person who has to establish dialogues. Now here, military level talks are happening. Why Mr. Jaishankar is missing? Why we can't have status quo? Whatever has been told by the opposition, 1,000 kilometers alongside the line, that has been already intruded by China. What's happening there? Why infrastructure is built up?
Ma'am, if you give me the permission to interrupt you now, the point this was actually countered by the, one second, Charu, I'll just come back to you. I'll just come to you. Ma'am, this was exactly countered by the External Affairs Minister. He is saying, let's go back to what happened in the UPA era. Let's talk about the timing of when these positions and these points were actually taken by the China.
Let's talk about that, Riddhima. In 2013, Chinese have come. They have come to our territory, and then they were sent back after some days stand down. I think some 23 days stand down, and they were sent back because we used to believe in establishing dialogue. We would not put military in front and fire from the back. What we used to do is there used to be a dialogue between the external affairs ministers that is lagging, and this person who is talking about Congress party and leaders, and instead of telling that no, what they are saying is lie, he is attacking elsewhere. He should say what is there, why this infrastructure is being built, why around Pangong Lake.
So Charu, respond to this. The opposition is saying that, of course, this is what the External Affairs Minister will say. He's somebody who's part of the Modi cabinet, but can the centre really deny the satellite images and other information that has been put out in the public domain? There is aggression, there is a build-up that still continues. These areas are sensitive. We know the tactics that have been, plied by China in the past. Can we really deny that reality?
Good evening, Riddhima. Let me begin by saying that I think our External Affairs Minister is an absolute rock star. You listen to him speak. He does not mince his words. He does not hide behind any facade. He calls a spade, and the whole world sits up and listens when he speaks. And that is exactly what makes the opposition today jittery. When the opposition goes on and on about facts that they would rather hear from either sources that are unconfirmed or maybe Chinese people, they forget the fact that they first need to listen to their own government. They first need to listen to their own army. And it's surprising because the spokesperson with me today has happened to serve in our armed forces. So in spite of that, for anybody to say that the situation today is worse than it was, I'm sorry, that's a big fat lie. Secondly, the situation at the Chinese border exists because of historical wrongs that have been done in 1962. We're aware of that. I don't want to get into the history. We're still struggling to correct those wrongs. The last and the most important thing here is that Rahul Gandhi does not understand the implications of the things that he says, especially with regards to a border conflict, especially with regards to what is happening with our armed forces. So when he uses weird terminology like "hamare jawan pit rahe hain," when he says ki Chinese ghus ke aa gaye hain, I don't think he understands at all. And if the wing commander is saying that
to be fair, the Congress actually had issued a clarification saying that they were actually not hitting out at the soldiers or the armed forces, but they were actually questioning the motives of the foreign policy and how successful it was. That clarification, and in fact, had come from the Congress party. But Wing Commander Acharya, I want to come back to you.
Riddhima, one second,
Charu.
Quick interjection. The wrong dialogue of Rahul Gandhi is doing the rounds still. And the clarification is just that. It is on page 10 of a newspaper in fine print. I'm sorry, if you think it is sufficient as an apology, that's up to you, but I don't think it is.
Okay. Wing Commander Acharya, I want to bring you back in the conversation. Now, it was not just China where we heard from the External Affairs Minister. He's also spoken about a larger problem and an issue as far as this peddling and pushing of a Western narrative is concerned. And he's hit out at individuals like George Soros. Now, while it is the responsibility of, the opposition to question the central government, and they should ask the tough questions, the only issue here is, why are we so fixated with an opinion that is coming in from the West? If you have issues, you question the center, you have the floor of the house, you have the parliament to do that. Why are we so fixated with a Western man saying how we should run our country or what impact it's going to have on our democracy? And that is why when these comments are made, the timing becomes questionable.
Riddhima, I want to ask you why we go gaga over when somebody says we have become Vishwaguru and Prime Minister has made a great reputation in the outside India. When that happens, everybody is gaga over that. But when people talk about this kind of a thing, and secondly, who is George Soros? I'm asking this question to you. Who knew him before? 95.99% Indians do not know about him. This somebody said something. BJP comes out and arranges a press conference. Now, where is this? What is this? Chod ki daadi mein tinka to BJP BBC mein dikh raha hai humko. BJP mein dikh raha hai. And here is one prime minister who is hesitant in talking about China's name. He says nobody has intruded. He said that. Is that not? It doesn't get into the media that what he said, which was incorrect. A prime minister speaking lies. Here we have one minister who is the Minister of Commerce and Trade and Finance Minister, who are silent spectators of phenomenal increase in trade with China, mainly import. Then here is one external minister who does not believe in performing what he is expected to do. But he has to do blabbering, and basically because he wants to be in the limelight of Narendra Modi ji, mincing of words, this and that. He is entitled for none of the above, but he is failed as a defense.
No, but ma'am, what I'm essentially trying to understand, George Soros is one example. You take the BBC documentary, you take other examples. So I'm essentially trying to understand, is the West going to dictate how the country is going to function, or are we seeing that? No, the reason I'm asking you this is because the opposition seems to be very fixated with that. Oh, the BBC put out a documentary, what they must be saying must be the gospel truth. Oh, George Soros said something, that must be the gospel truth. So I'm trying to understand, where do our priorities lie? Why are we so fixated on the narrative that's coming from the West? That's all that I'm trying to understand.
Riddhima, BJP is fixated that Prime Minister has become a Vishwaguru or India has become a Vishwaguru. That has been accepted by everybody, hands down. But when somebody else, when there are some indexes are coming, whenever this kind of a thing comes, this is not opposition. Opposition has nothing to do with it, because BJP suddenly reacts to it and it comes to limelight.
So Charu, the opposition is saying the opposition hasn't made George Soros into a controversy or a narrative. It's the BJP, in fact. If the BJP didn't react, nobody would have known who George Soros is. That's the claim that's coming in from the opposition.
So, Riddhima, first I want to comment on what the opposition spokesperson is saying. When India talks of becoming a Vishwaguru, it is not just a word that we use. We use this word because we're in the process of making sure that our glory is back, and we do that in multiple ways. Whether we try and do more and more production in India, it is not just make in India, it is also make for India, it is make in India for the world. When we talk of COVID, we're not just looking after our citizens, we are looking after the world. There is Operation Dost that is underway right now as we speak. India is a part of very critical, very important global partnerships, and we are shining on those stages. It is because we are making sense. We currently hold the presidency for the G20. We are actually on the rise as the fastest growing economy in the world. Not just that, we are in a place where we are creating a culture of both research and development here. We are creating a culture of having more and more startups in India. We are actually creating a culture where the Indian passport holds greater value with every passing year. I'm sorry, you are finding this very funny, and I don't understand this kind of a debating language. So either you want to scream or you want to make sure what the other person is saying should not be heard. Respectfully, I expect it better from someone who boasts of a military background, madam. First. And the second thing here is, whenever Jaishankar ji is talking about... No, do not interrupt me. I have actually realized that your attitude towards this entire situation, where we are discussing a country, is still not big enough for you to stop praising Rahul Gandhi's mistakes and start
you said that I come from a whatever background. Do I talk about what background you come from? We have an ideology.
Okay, let's not indulge in personal comments. I expect better from
comments on anyone.
Yes. Wing Commander Acharya, we expect better from both our panelists. Let's not indulge in personal name calling. That doesn't help the viewer also. Unfortunately, I will have to leave that conversation there. I appreciate both our guests, Shahrukh Pragya and Wing Commander Acharya. This is a story that we'll keep tracking very, very closely. We'll be tracking all the political reactions that will be coming post this interview as well. But for now, we're slipping into a very short break.
Step to file a complaint, and now since the complaint has been filed, the police will take necessary action anytime soon.
All right, Mihir, stay with us. Let's listen into more reactions that are coming on this story, including that of the police officer.
चेंबूर फेस्टिवल के लाइव कंसर्ट परफॉर्मेंस के बाद में सोनू निगम जी जब स्टेज से नीचे उतर रहे थे, तब एक व्यक्ति ने उनको पीछे से पकड़ा तो इस बारे में सोनू निगम जी के साथ वाले दोनों लोगों ने उसको बाजू करने का कोशिश किया, तब उस व्यक्ति ने दोनों लोगों को स्टेप से नीचे ढकेला। उसमें एक इंसान को इंजरी हुई। इस सिलसिले में सोनू निगम जी की एफआईआर ली गई, जिसमें आईपीसी सेक्शन 341, 323 और 337 इन सेक्शंस के तहत मामला दर्ज हुआ है। इस घटना में जिस इंसान ने उन्हें पकड़ा था और ढकेला, वो स्वप्निल पाथर पे करके है।
Once again, the true face of the Uddhav Sena, which has now been reduced to a Gundo ki Sena, has come to the fore, with the MLA of Uddhav Sena, Prakash Phatarpekar's son, attacking Sonu Nigam and some other artists merely for a selfie. This shows the sense of arrogance, entitlement, and also the violent politics and the violent ways that are pursued by Uddhav ki Sena. It also shows that this is not a one-off incident, but a serial offender as far as violence is concerned. They have attacked a 60-year-old Navy veteran. They have attacked other people also physically and violently. And now this attack on artists, including Sonu Nigam. It only shows the mindset and it only shows the approach of politics that Uddhav Sena now believes in. This is complete political frustration, and it also is something that the people of Maharashtra have totally rejected. Today, Uddhavji should tell us whether he will take action on this MLA, whether he will take action on the MLA's son, and whether such kind of politics is condoned by him or condemned by him. This is the true face of Uddhavji ki Sena, and unfortunately, today, once again, we have witnessed the politics of violence and gundagardi that has now become the norm for his people.
Singer Sonu Nigam and his team were manhandled by a Shiv Sena member at a music event in Mumbai's Chembur suburb. The singer was performing at the festival when the son of a local MLA believed to be associated with Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena camp misbehaved with Nigam's manager Saira. The MLA's son wanted to click a photo with Sonu, and that's why he ended up going on the stage. The man then asked Sonu's manager to get off the stage, and when Sonu was getting down from the stage, the man ended up pushing Sonu on the backstage steps. Now, Sonu Nigam has filed a complaint at the Chembur police station, and there's shocking breaking news coming in from Mumbai, where Sonu Nigam and his team were manhandled by a Shiv Sena member at a music event. Our correspondent Mihir is joining us to give us more details on this. Mihir, what exactly happened at the event?
Absolutely. So this was a festival that was taking place, a cultural festival in Mumbai's Chembur area, where Sonu Nigam was part of the finale act. In fact, it was his performance that was, one of the highlights of the show. Now, after his performance at that particular festival, Sonu Nigam was actually trying to get down off the stage. That's when this gentleman approached him and tried to get a selfie. The situation was not such that he could have accommodated that, and his people around him, his aide and security guards, tried to restrain this person from taking that selfie, and that kind of led into a scuffle where a lot of pushing happened. In fact, Sonu Nigam himself lost his balance. One of his aides fell off the stage and hurt himself very seriously. He was taken to the hospital after the incident, and it turns out that this person was the son of Shiv Sena MLA of the Uddhav Thackeray faction, and that's when things got onto the social media as well. But as far as Sonu Nigam is concerned, he has clearly stated in his bite after filing a complaint that he was in a sense pushed. His people and his aides were pushed around just for a selfie, which he was not able to accommodate at that point while he was getting off the stage, and that really enraged this person who's also a MLA's son, but also the MLA was the organizer of the show. So that's how he got onto the stage and tried to get that selfie. Now clearly, as far as Sonu Nigam is concerned, he has stated that he could not accommodate that selfie, but this person insisted. In fact, he started getting physical with his staff and also pushed Sonu Nigam to an extent where he lost balance. So that's why he had no option but to go to Chembur police station and file a complaint, even also because one of his aides really got injured and he was taken to the hospital in this particular scuffle of sorts.
Right, Mihir. Let's first listen in to Sonu Nigam's reaction after being attacked at the event.
कुछ नहीं हुआ कॉन्सर्ट करके उतारा था और वो जो आजकल आप लोग की जो सेल्फी और फोटोग्राफ का जो चला हुआ है ना, नहीं उसको समझता नहीं, तो उसने पकड़ लिया मुझे, तो पकड़ा तो उसके बाद में उसका नाम है स्वप्निल प्रकाश वातरपेकर, वो बाद में मुझे मालूम पड़ा। उसने पकड़ लिया तो मुझे बचाने के लिए पहले हरि कहाँ है, हाँ हरि प्रकाश, पहले हरि को उसने पुश किया, तो वो वीडियो में देखेंगे राइट हैंड साइड में पहले हरि को पुश किया है। उसके बाद जब मुझे पुश किया तो मैं गिर गया, देखा होगा वीडियो में मैं नीचे गिर गया हूँ, हाँ मैं स्टेप पे गिर गया, तो मैं अगर मैं साइड में होता तो मैं गिर जाता, तो मैं स्टेप पे गिरा, तो मुझे बचाने के लिए रब्बानी आए और रब्बानी को तो उसने ऐसे पीछे किया तो उसके बच गया, वो मर जाता, वो अगर नीचे कुछ लोहा होता तो गया था वो।
So Mihir, we just heard Sonu Nigam mentioning the name of the accused as Swapnil. Has the accused been arrested as of now?
At this point, an FIR has been filed in this particular case based on Sonu Nigam's statement. We have visual evidence also that how the incident unfolded on that particular stage while Sonu Nigam was getting off. Police has not really made any arrest in this case at this point, but clearly now with the FIR filed, necessary action will be taken against whoever has in a sense, who is responsible or accused in this particular case. It also depends on how Sonu Nigam plays it out now. He's clear.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Top sources have now told us here at CNN News 18 that the Health Ministry is likely to stop the funding for Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Scheme in Punjab. Now, the centre has accused Punjab government of renaming the centre scheme to Mohalla Clinic. According to Health Ministry sources, the Punjab government has changed the branding, the coding of Ayushman Bharat Wellness Centre and has been advertising it as a Mohalla Clinic. Sources have also told us here at CNN News 18 that there have been no changes despite numerous letters to the state government. In its letter, the centre had warned the Bhagwant Mann government that it will stop allocating funds under the scheme if the Punjab government is found to be violating these terms. Let me also now bring in our colleague Sharon Elizabeth, who in fact has been tracking all these developments for us. So Sharon, if I understand this correctly, in fact the centre is saying that previous notices and warnings also have been sent to the Punjab government, but because they paid no heed and the branding completely changed to Mohalla Clinics, this is a step that the centre could now go forward with. What are sources telling you?
Well, that's exactly what the sources are saying, that there has in fact been numerous letters that has been written to Punjab government saying that they need to comply with the rules as far as this scheme is concerned. Now, when we talk about this scheme, the Health Ministry, the Ayushman Health Scheme, which is for the Health and Wellness Centre, the central government has in fact released about 145 crore to the Punjab government in the year 2020 to 2023. Now, last year in about 2021 to 2022, around 140 crores were in fact released to Punjab government. But now the Health Ministry has been saying, because Punjab government has in a way hijacked the centre scheme, because this is Ayushman Bharat Wellness, Health and Wellness Scheme, there is a particular branding, colouring and coding that needs to be done. But Punjab government has in a way hijacked the entire scheme and it is in fact renaming it as Mohalla Clinics. The painting, the paint of the walls have been changed, the colours and the coding has in fact been changed, and there is in fact pictures of Bhagwant Mann in around 2,500 such health centres, and that is exactly what is not going down well with the Health Ministry. They have been saying there were other states as well. They mentioned few other states where such, how the central schemes were being tried to be misused and was being renamed as their own scheme. But after the intervention of the Health Ministry, they have in fact rectified the error. But as far as Punjab government is concerned, Pakistan, even after numerous letters, the situation remains to be the same, and hence the Health Ministry has decided that they are going to take this drastic step. Now remember, we are not talking about any small funding. When we talk about this scheme, the 60% of the funding comes from the central government and 40% comes from the Punjab government. So this year itself, around 140 crore has been released to the Punjab government. But now in coming days, if they don't comply with the rules of this scheme, then Health Ministry is going to completely stop the funding, because in 2018 when the scheme was introduced, all the states were told that they have to comply with the coding, with the branding, with what drugs are supposed to be given in the health centers, what is the basic salary that needs to be given to the healthcare workers. All this has been explained to them, but Punjab government has not been following it, is the claim that has been coming from the Health Ministry.
So the numbers that Sharon is putting out is also crucial to understand this story. She's saying about 140 crores has already been given to the state of Punjab, and because all this mandate is already in place, and despite all of this mandate being in place, there has been a violation by the Punjab state government. Politically speaking, Sharon, has the Aam Aadmi Party reacted so far?
Well, Aam Aadmi Party, as far as the Punjab government is concerned, they have not reacted to it. But of course, when we spoke to Somnath Bharati, during the broadcast, he said that this is nothing but federalism by the government. This is attack on the state governments. But the fact of the matter is that this scheme, which is in fact running across the country, is supposed to be 60% of the fund that comes from the Health Ministry and the 40% of the fund that comes from each of the states. So hijacking that particular scheme, the central scheme, and claiming it to be theirs is something that the centre is not going to allow. But all said and done, Ridhima, it is only going to affect the common man on ground. Because when we talk about such 2,500 primary health centres and sub-health centres, they are very helpful and very convenient to the people. But if the funding stops, it is going to affect the common man.
Oh, absolutely. Sharon, we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Shifting our focus then, you had lyricist Javed Akhtar slamming Pakistan over the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack while he was attending a festival in Pakistan. Javed Akhtar went on to say that the perpetrators of the 26/11 attack still reside in Pakistan and the handlers today continue to roam free. He further also added that Pakistan should not be offended because Indians will complain about the terrorists roaming free and the questions will continue. Remember, 10 Pakistani terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Taiba stormed buildings in Mumbai, killing over 160 people. 9 terrorists were eliminated in the attack, and the lone survivor, Ajmal Kasab, was executed in 2012.
मैं तकल्लुफ से काम नहीं लूंगा। हमने तो नुसरत के बड़े-बड़े फंक्शन किए, मेहदी हसन के बड़े-बड़े फंक्शन किए। आपके मुल्क में तो लता मंगेशकर का कोई फंक्शन नहीं है। तो हकीकत ये है, चलिए अब हम एक दूसरे को इल्जाम न दें, उससे सॉल्व नहीं होगा। ये अहम बात ये है कि ये जो आजकल इतना गर्म है फिजा, वो कम होनी चाहिए। हम तो बम्बई के लोग हैं, हमने देखा हमारे शहर पे कैसे हमला हुआ था। तो वो लोग नॉर्वे से तो नहीं आए थे, ना इजिप्ट से आए थे, वो लोग अभी भी आपके मुल्क में घूम रहे हैं। तो ये शिकायत अगर हिंदुस्तानी के दिल में हो तो आपको बुरा नहीं मानना चाहिए।
Our colleague Pallavi Ghosh now joining us on the broadcast. Pallavi, the point that Javed Akhtar is making is that you shouldn't indulge in a blame game between India and Pakistan, because Indians will still have resentment. They'll still have questions as to what has been done to the perpetrators of 26/11. Give us better context of where these comments were made and if any political reactions coming in.
Well, I mean, the BJP, of course, has typically responded, and they said that, it's good that he has shown the mirror to Pakistan and that too from their own soil in Lahore. But why is it that when he's in India, he speaks a different language? They are making a reference to the fact that he's often been seen to be on the side of the opposition parties and the Congress, whether raising questions over the CAA or sometimes even the questions over the Kashmir issue. And that's what the BJP is pointing out. And it's also very important, not just abroad. And of course, it is something which needs to appreciate it. But back home in India also, you cannot be speaking in a language which is so similar to that of the opposition, but something which emboldens our political opponents abroad. For example, Pakistan certainly, China certainly, consistently talking about the rights of the minorities being compromised under the PM government, so on and so forth. So I think it's a double-edged sword essentially for Javed Akhtar, and the BJP, while appreciating, is also trying to show him a mirror.
Okay, Pallavi, we'll leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Now to a story that really has left the internet divided. In a shocking incident that has come to light from Hyderabad, the 4-year-old boy was mauled to death by street dogs at a housing society. The incident took place on the 19th of February. It's not an isolated one. We've seen similar ones happen in the national capital and other parts of the country as well. As part of this particular case, CCTV footage of the horrific incident has now emerged, in which you can see the boy, the 4-year-old child, who can be seen walking around playfully when a pack of street dogs attack him. The boy can be seen making efforts to escape, but to no avail because he was mauled to death. The deceased boy sustained serious injuries and passed away even before he could reach the hospital. And look at the visuals that we're putting out of previous cases that have happened across the country as well. In this particular case, we're understanding the 4-year-old boy's father works as a watchman in the same housing society. Remember, this is not the first time that such an incident has come to light. 2 school children were grievously injured in a stray dog attack in Kerala district in last month. In October last year, you had a 7-month-old child died after a stray dog mauled him at a residential society in Noida.
The street dog menace is something that we've been trying to, tackle in our municipalities across the state. In fact, we've created animal care centers, animal birth control centers. We take street dogs very regularly. We actually, conduct these birth control operations. We actually ensure that the animals are also treated in a humane way. But when these incidents happen, it generally creates an uproar and a furor. My sincere condolences to the family, and we'll ensure that our best is done so that these incidents are not recurred.
Let's also now bring in our colleague Swastika, who in fact has been tracking those developments for us. Swastika, we did hear KTR in that soundbite a short while ago offering his condolences, but the problem still remains as to why we continue to see cases like these re-emerge across the country. And as I said when I started the story, that this has the internet divided. What are the issues? Why do we continue to see attacks like these?
Well, in a city like Hyderabad, remember, as and when there is rapid urbanization, the biggest problem is garbage. And wherever there is garbage, you have stray animals coming in there. And that is why in most of the residential colonies, there's an increasing chorus for authorities to clamp down on stray animals, so that anybody who is even giving them food does it at their own risk. Okay. And that is exactly the point that was raised by the GHMC mayor today when she was asked as to why such kind of incidents are happening and what is it that the authorities are doing. She says that the animals are neutered in time. There's an animal care center which takes care of all these things, and now post this incident they are going to consider constituting a special panel that will escalate and in fact ensure speedy resolution to such complaints. Yeah. And why this comes is because even in this incident, remember, of where a 4-year-old boy was mauled to death, the area around, there are residents, in fact it's a karkhana where it happened, there people have been saying despite raising multiple complaints about street dog menace, there has been no action. So let's hope that perhaps authorities wake up to this and understand that this is going to be a bigger problem. And they've also in fact said that that people who are in fact affectionate towards dogs and pet animals should also take responsibility when it comes to giving them food, so that anybody who is passing by is not inconvenienced. But yes, certainly a wake-up call for authorities, especially after this ghastly incident. Right, Swastika, we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Let's also now bring in our guest. We have a dog lover joining us on the broadcast, Shahzada Sodhi joining us. Shahzada, as we said, the internet is divided. People who are possibly not dog lovers or who see this as a menace are saying, for how long can we continue to have cases like these? You had a 7-month-old infant. Today you have a 4-year-old toddler. They fear that their child could be next. Why do you think are we seeing this repeated pattern of cases like these?
First of all, it's sad that every few months we hear such an incident happening. But the fact is, we must realize that our kids and our elderly are a vulnerable target when it comes to stray animals. And like all other dangers, we protect them. We must take care that they don't go to secluded places alone. They are not out in the night when there are dogs on the street. Because this problem is going to be there. It cannot be solved overnight. And most likely this problem is going to exaggerate, because the kind of laws the state governments are making, more and more dogs would be abandoned. because of the registration fees and all that. So I don't think so that only the dogs should be blamed. But this problem will be, I guess it will be there, but we need to be more careful.
Shehzada, when you
our
say
elderly
that,
go.
you should keep the elderly and the younger children aside, that's a very ideal situation that we're talking about. The counter to this will be, you can't just keep the roads free or the gated society areas free for the dogs. Everybody will use it. Should you have a better mechanism? One of the usual criticism that comes in, usually the criticism that comes in when we see a case like this is that, it's the dog feeders who usually don't know where to feed the dogs. And because they make this a practice, you continue to see one dog turn into 10 and then cases like these happen. Do you think that's a valid concern? That even if you need to feed stray dogs, maybe they should be designated areas rather than doing it in front of society gates?
Generally, the dog feeders are very careful where they feed because they are subjected to a lot of criticism. So they are already aware what they are doing. But the thing is, if only 1% of the people are taking care of the stray dogs, it becomes very difficult. So it needs to be an effort of the community or the RWAs to take care instead of blaming the dog feeders. I guess if more and more people join the issue and be a part of the problem and be a part of the solution, then maybe we are likely to get a better result.
So I'll talk to you about solutions in just a bit. One of the other issues that is also usually raised by people who see this as a menace and who want tough action to be taken, they usually point out to the fact that, there was no provocation that was done. Despite that, the animal attacked. And the counter that's usually given by dog lovers is that there has to be some provocation. So what do you think is happening? Because if you look at this particular case that's happened in Hyderabad, it's a 4-year-old child. The child actually wanted to run away, but he was mauled to death. The parents couldn't even take the child to the hospital, and that's a valid concern for parents across the country. So where do you think things are going wrong here?
Absolutely, ma'am. That is why I said it initially, that we need to take care of our children. Similarly, when we don't let them go out alone at night, because we are aware of the danger. We don't let them go on the main road because we are aware of the danger. So we must accept that this is an issue. And likewise, authorities and people who take care of the dogs can be a little more careful.
Okay.
But overall, we need to be more careful with our kids and elderly.
Okay. Shehzada, lastly, quickly, I want to understand, when you were talking about solutions, what are the issues? Do we just not have enough shelters? Are the numbers of stray dogs too many? What are the ways to tackle this issue?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Every time what happens is when I ask the authorities to come and neuter the kids and all, they don't come on time. And every 3 or 6 months, these babies, they are babies. So what needs to be done is the action needs to be very proactive. Whenever a caller calls, the authorities need to reach there, because every time a stray gives birth, it's around 6 to 8 kids. And then you can't neuter the mothers or the kids for 6 months. So obviously the population is going to grow. And I don't think so shelter is a solution for that. But overall, the communities, the authorities and all need to come together to control the population.
Okay, so rather than indulging in a blame game, we need to have a more constructive approach to try and tackle this issue. Shehzada, we leave the conversation there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. For now, we're slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with lots more.
Thus, let's listen into more reactions that are coming on this story, including that of the police officer.
चेंबूर फेस्टिवल के लाइव कॉन्सर्ट परफॉर्मेंस के बाद में सोनू निगम जी जब स्टेज से नीचे उतर रहे थे, तब एक व्यक्ति ने उनको पीछे से पकड़ा। तो इस बारे में सोनू निगम जी के साथ वाले दोनों लोगों ने उसको बाजू करने का कोशिश किया। तब उस व्यक्ति ने दोनों लोगों को स्टेप से नीचे ढकेला। उसमें एक इंसान को इंजरी हुई। इस सिलसिले में सोनू निगम जी की एफआईआर ली गई, जिसमें आईपीसी सेक्शन 341, 323 और 337 इन सेक्शंस के तहत मामला दर्ज हुआ है। इस घटना में जिस इंसान ने उन्हें पकड़ा था और ढकेला, वो स्वप्निल पाथर पे करके है।
Once again, the true face of the Uddhav Sena, which has now been reduced to a Gundo ki Sena, has come to the fore, with the MLA of Uddhav Sena, Prakash Fatarpikar's son, attacking Sonu Nigam and some other artists merely for a selfie. This shows the sense of arrogance, entitlement, and also the violent politics and the violent ways that are pursued by Uddhav ki Sena. It also shows that this is not a one-off incident, but a serial offender as far as violence is concerned. They have attacked a 60-year-old Navy veteran. They have attacked other people also physically and violently. And now this attack on artists, including Sonu Nigam. It only shows the mindset and it only shows the approach of politics that Uddhav Sena now believes in. This is complete political frustration, and it also is something that the people of Maharashtra have totally rejected. Today, Uddhavji should tell us whether he will take action on this MLA, whether he will take action on the MLA's son, and whether such kind of politics is condoned by him or condemned by him. This is the true face of Uddhavji ki Sena, and unfortunately, today, once again, we have witnessed the politics of violence and gundagardi that has now become the norm for his people.
Singer Sonu Nigam and his team were manhandled by a Shiv Sena member at a music event in Mumbai's Chembur suburb. The singer was performing at the festival when the son of a local MLA believed to be associated with Uddhav Thakere's Shiv Sena camp misbehaved with Nigam's manager Saira. The MLA's son wanted to click a photo with Sonu, and that's why he ended up going on the stage. The man then asked Sonu's manager to get off the stage, and when Sonu was getting down from the stage, the man ended up pushing Sonu on the backstage steps. Now, Sonu Nigam has filed a complaint at the Chembur police station, and there's shocking breaking news coming in from Mumbai, where Sonu Nigam and his team were manhandled by a Shiv Sena member at a music event. Our correspondent Mihir is joining us to give us more details on this. Mihir, what exactly happened at the event?
Absolutely. So this was a festival that was taking place, a cultural festival in Mumbai's Chembur area, where Sonu Nigam was part of the finale act. In fact, it was his performance that was, one of the highlights of the show. Now, after his performance at that particular festival, Sonu Nigam was actually trying to get down off the stage. That's when this gentleman approached him and tried to get a selfie. The situation was not such that he could have accommodated that, and his people around him, his aide and security guards, tried to restrain this person from taking that selfie, and that kind of led into a scuffle where a lot of pushing happened. In fact, Sonu Nigam himself lost his balance. One of his aides fell off the stage and hurt himself very seriously. He was taken to the hospital after the incident, and it turns out that this person was the son of Shiv Sena MLA of the Uddhav Thackeray faction, and that's when things got onto the social media as well. But as far as Sonu Nigam is concerned, he has clearly stated in his bite after filing a complaint that he was in a sense pushed. His people and his aides were pushed around just for a selfie, which he was not able to accommodate at that point while he was getting off the stage, and that really enraged this person who's also a MLA's son, but also the MLA was the organizer of the show. So that's how he got onto the stage and tried to get that selfie. Now clearly, as far as Sonu Nigam is concerned, he has stated that he could not accommodate that selfie, but this person insisted. In fact, he started getting physical with his staff and also pushed Sonu Nigam to an extent where he lost balance. So that's why he had no option but to go to Chembur police station and file a complaint, even also because one of his aides really got injured and he was taken to the hospital in this particular scuffle of sorts.
Right, Mihir. Let's first listen in to Sonu Nigam's reaction after being attacked at the event.
कुछ नहीं हुआ कॉन्सर्ट करके उतारा था, और वो जो आजकल आप लोग की जो सेल्फी और फोटोग्राफ का जो चला हुआ है ना, नहीं उसको समझता नहीं, तो उसने पकड़ लिया मुझे, तो पकड़ा, तो उसके बाद में उसका नाम है स्वप्निल प्रकाश फातरपेकर, वो बाद में मुझे मालूम पड़ा। उसने पकड़ लिया तो मुझे बचाने के लिए पहले हरि कहाँ है? हाँ, हरि प्रकाश, पहले हरि को उसने पुश किया। तो वो वीडियो में देखेंगे राइट हैंड साइड में पहले हरि को पुश किया है। उसके बाद जब मुझे पुश किया तो मैं गिर गया, देखा होगा वीडियो में मैं नीचे गिर गया हूँ। हाँ, मैं स्टेप पे गिर गया। तो अगर मैं साइड में होता तो मैं गिर जाता, तो मैं स्टेप पे गिरा। तो मुझे बचाने के लिए रब्बानी आए और रब्बानी को तो उसने ऐसे पीछे किया तो उसके बच गया, वो मर जाता। वो अगर नीचे कुछ लोहा होता तो गया था वो।
So Mir, we just heard Sonu Nigam mentioning the name of the accused as Swapnil. Has the accused been arrested as of now?
At this point, an FIR has been filed in this particular case based on Sonu Nigam's statement. We have visual evidence also that how the incident unfolded on that particular stage while Sonu Nigam was getting off. Police has not really made any arrests in this case at this point, but clearly now with the FIR filed, necessary action will be taken against whoever has in a sense, who is responsible or accused in this particular case. It also depends on how Sonu Nigam plays it out now. He's clearly mentioned that he lost his mind because there was a constant pushing and shoving happening from that person when he was denied that particular selfie, and that caused a lot of problem to his staff who was trying to protect him. In fact, one of the staff members also got seriously injured and could have been even further seriously injured if there was some material on the floor on which he fell from the stage. So clear.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. As the Russia-Ukraine war is all set to complete 1 year, Russian President Vladimir Putin addressed the Russian parliament addressing and assessing the invasion he ordered a year ago. Putin's address came after US President Joe Biden's unannounced visit to Kyiv yesterday. Putin claimed that Ukraine held talks with the West on weapon supplies and also attempted to acquire nuclear weapons. He then went on to defend the Russian invasion and said that the West stole Ukraine from the Soviet Union and waged a war on Russia. Putin once again highlighted the fact that the special operation was never aimed against the population of Ukraine. On the contrary, the operation targeted the regime.
Turn them into war victims, and the responsibility of the Western elites, military elites, of a lot of foreigners to the Ukrainian regime. They are not trying to support the interest of the Ukrainian people. They are just using this as a butthead against us. They want to take it further. They have launched new offensives, and the more the long-range weapons of the Westerners will be delivered to Ukraine, the more we must push back this threat on our borders. The Western elites don't even hide their objectives. They want a strategic defeat of Russia. What does that mean? It means to wipe out Russia once and for all, for this local conflict to be aligned with the worldwide confrontation. And this is why we have to react. And we have reacted as we should, because it's the existence of our country that is threatened. You have to realize that to bring Russia down militarily is impossible. That is why they attack us on the field of the press or the media. They try and influence young people. They pervert historical facts to change history and show us under a different light. What are they doing with their people?
So this speech from Putin along entirely predictable lines. He does not say who it is that led this invasion, which is the country that invaded. It is Russia on his orders here in Kharkiv. Look at this building here behind, destroyed, people living here killed, and hundreds of such buildings in Kharkiv destroyed, hundreds and thousands of buildings all around Ukraine. People have been killed in this invasion and in these missile attacks that have been raining down on Ukraine ever since. It is Putin who has ordered this. He says that it is the Nazis in Ukraine that are responsible, but really these are scenes reminiscent of the kind of damage and destruction caused by Nazis in the Second World War. It is not Ukraine, after all, that invaded Russia. We are not standing here inside Russia looking at this kind of devastation. Again, there is a great deal of cliche in what Putin says. He says Western elites are responsible. Of course, the Western elites are responding to Ukraine's need in the face of such attacks, in the face of such destruction. This is again a signal, though, from Putin that he is not going to stop, he is not going to let go. He says that it is impossible to defeat Russia in the battlefield.
And Kyiv is also now vowed to kick out and punish Russia. Just after President Vladimir Putin delivered a State of the Nation address, NATO chief has also gone on to say there is increasingly concern China will arm Russia. The NATO chief has also echoed US concerns that China may supply Russia with weapons to help it pursue its war against Ukraine. So we're just days away from that one-year mark of Russia's invasion into Ukraine. Will this be a turning point in the war? This is a development that we'll keep tracking very, very closely. For now, it's a wrap from my side. News continues here on CNN News 18.
Waqf land in India is hardly benefiting actual Muslims on the ground. Several Muslim victims themselves have come out to say. So actually benefiting Waqf boards is not a benefit to ordinary Muslims.
India as a society is still not prepared for live-in relationship. The parents completely not in agreement with an equation of this nature, and the girls do not have the option of coming back, because if the relationship goes wrong, then where do they go back to?
It's okay to float the idea of a Sanatan board, but the community itself stands divided. How does this construct come by? Do they get elected? Do they get nominated? It's again opening a huge can of worms.
You cannot have it both ways, where on the one hand the survey has nothing to do with the documentary, and yet at the same time the documentary is all evil and it needs to be clamped down upon like a ton of bricks.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Instant triple talaq, a highly discriminatory and biased practice, has been outlawed in many Muslim countries, including our neighbours, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Remember, it's a form of marriage dissolution whereby a husband